What's going on, YouTube? So look, check it out, man. Recently, Angela Stanton King was on Educate, Inform, Inspire. I guess this is like a podcast or a TV show. And she has some strong words for Kamala Harris. You guys know Angela Stanton King for being a major Donald Trump supporter. Angela King was instrumental in helping him with the First Step Act, and yeah, she's been riding with Donald Trump ever since, and Donald Trump pardoned her, got her out of prison, and since then, man, she's turned her life around, and she's been on this warpath, telling the truth about certain entities, and definitely when it comes to the Democrat Party, she's always, giving them the blues. So y'all listen to her comments concerning Kamala Harris, and the reason why I chose this video as a topic today was because she has some pretty interesting comments, and I think that those comments can be controversially played in different ways. Interracial couples and black couples seem to sit at opposite ends of the spectrum when it comes to black ideals or black issues, and I want you guys to hear what she has to say, and I'll give you guys my thoughts at the end.
Off of emotion. We're in a day and age where people are more concerned about the racism that they're never going to be able to rid, right? Than they are about the pedophilia that's sleeping itself through our government, right?
Now this part I didn't understand who she was referring to. There's a lot of clips of Joe Biden going around where he's like doing real odd stuff with children, but I mean, like, that's a bold statement. You know what I'm saying? You mean to tell me we going to the polls, and if you vote Democrat, you supporting pedophilia? I don't know.
An issue for me. And I think that when you ask people what type of policy is Kamala Harris running on, they can't say anything. The only reason they want to vote for her is because she's black. And then what gets me is, you're telling me that I'm supposed to choose this woman just because she's black? Well, everybody's pro-black until it's time to marry and procreate, right? She didn't choose black when it was time for her to preserve the black family, but I'm supposed to believe that I'm supposed to choose black for her to preserve the black family in the White House. We're not doing that. If she didn't have to choose black, then we don't have to choose black either. So we need to get off of this whole thing, oh, they're just going to do something for us because they're black. Well, maybe if she would have picked a black man or had a black kid, I probably could support that. But the fact that you are on an HBCU tour telling young black women to abort their children while you're raising white children, that's an issue for me. That should be an issue for black America. Because y'all remember back in the day of slavery, we couldn't keep our kids, but you would see them white kids sucking down the titties, getting breastfed. Yeah, we're not going to abort our children and raise theirs.
So y'all heard what she had to say, and one of the things that I want to touch on is, the fact that she mentioned, abortion and aborting black babies. That's a stance, or a topic that she's very passionate about. If you go back and look at any of her past works, she's really passionate about abortion, and she brings a very interesting perspective when it comes to the fact that we're, as black people, we're aborting our own army. So but one of the things that I've personally had to deal with, and with the growing trending Dr. Umar, his stance on interracial relationships and how they use him as a meme, or as a gif, or whatever you want to call those things, where they take his face and slide it into the picture. But when you're talking about interracial relationships, but one of the things that I wanted to really talk about is there does, seem to be this trend of, when you have a very educated black sister or black brother speaking, he's closely linked to a white woman. You got Candace Owens, you got Officer Tatum, you got a lot of these African American, well spoken, black people who are married to white people. And this is a very controversial topic because it's personal to me. So, I was born and raised in Louisiana, in New Orleans, later lived in Baton Rouge for a long stretch, a long period of time, before coming to Kansas. I was introduced to Kansas, playing sports. I played in the NJCAA. At the time was one of the, was the number one junior college in, conference in the nation at the time. Not tooting my own horn, just saying. So, you come to small town Kansas and, you're talking about an area that is predominantly white. Okay. So, up until that point, I had never been with, anyone outside of my race, and I think that, at the time, and I'm not saying this to be ugly, I'm not saying this to be mean, but a lot of the differences I couldn't tell. You know what I'm saying? I was only attracted to black women. Now, over time, as I stayed here in this area, I eventually started to mingle and I guess diversify my, I guess my eyesight, started to diversify a little bit. You know what I'm saying? And, the major reason for that is I don't have nothing against anybody. But I think people's environment mostly dictates, who they mingle with, they socialize with, who their partners are. When you talk about, interpersonal relationships and intimate relationships, a lot of that, the partners and whoever your partner is going to be is determined based on the area that you're in. So, with that being said, I have, two mixed kids. And oftentimes when I'm having this conversation with my significant other, one of the swords and knives that she pull out and poke in my back is like, you can't talk on this issue because you decided to go, do this and go do that. Like, you don't really represent, what I'm saying, the black struggle anymore. Like, woo. So, not saying that I'm standing up or sticking up for Kamala Harris at all, but the idea that somehow, some way, because I decided or I had, sexual relations with the opposite race or a different, a race outside of my race, that it somehow changes the struggles that I went through and currently go through as a black man. So now I don't get to be a part of the conversation. I don't get to have an opinion. I guess I'm no longer black because I have a white, a mixed child. You know what I'm saying? I strongly disagree with that. And the only reason why I'm able to have this conversation is because this is the life that I'm living. You know what I'm saying? Like, I have mixed kids, but that doesn't change where I grew up. That doesn't change the things that I've been through. It doesn't change my upbringing. So the fact that, I'm choosing to have a voice for my community and still speak on issues that pertain to my community, do you then muzzle me, another advocate, another person that's trying to be a positive influence to the community because I have mixed kids? You know what I'm saying? So I always question, statements like that. Like I get that, I know I didn't marry a white woman or whatever the case is. She married a white man, but she did date, a black man. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not like she hasn't dated a black man. And I get the understanding of, like, if you have an understanding of how important culture is, and how important it is to stay within the culture, and you're going to make a certain decision. I understand people questioning that. But, part of it too is that I feel like people just find reasons to question anything these days. But the fact that she went to a black college and she was in support of abortion, and basically advertised abortion, to the black college, but yet has, her kids, and has, her family intact. Now that's pretty interesting. And that's, as a politician, as politicians, I wonder if they think about the policies that they push to certain communities and whether or not they're in reflection to how they live their life. Because if not, it should bring, you into question as a person. Like, you're pushing these policies, but yet you ain't living like that. You know what I'm saying? You got your family. You've given birth to your kids. So I definitely, question that. But anyway, man, that's my thoughts on this, man. Like I said, very controversial. Man, tell me what your thoughts are, man. Do you feel like if you didn't go all the way black, you know what I'm saying, you don't have a leg to stand on and you no longer can be a part of the conversation? Or do you feel the opposite? Do you feel like, you're still a black human being, you still, lived your life as a black person and you should be allowed to come into the conversation? Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section, man. This your boy Joe Squad. Y'all know what it is. I'm out.